Flosstube! Welcome back to the Blue Box Stitcher. My name is Catherine and this is my Flosstube. This is actually my second attempt making this video today. I was adjusting my camera, which is my phone, which was propped up on a mug, and knocked over the mug and it shattered. And spread coffee and porcelain shatters all over my floor. So, welcome back. It's been like a month and a week, I think, which is a little longer than I usually want to go between floss tubes. Life has been a little crazy. Besides the craziness that is happening with our presidency, I also had my hours increased at my job unexpectedly, which was great, but because it was unexpected, the rest of my life couldn't really plan for it, and all I've been doing is working for the past month. I also was traveling. Needless to say, I just did not have a lot of time to sit down and film the Flosstube, or really the bandwidth to do so when I did have a free moment. So today I just really wanted to get back to it. With that being said, it's a stressful time right now. It's a scary world out there. I don't like what's happening to our country. I live in the US, and so on top of being very mentally stressed, my body has been very physically stressed this past month. And because of that, I decided to really put my no plans, no goals, just vibes mantra for this year to the test. And I almost exclusively stitched on 14 count. I don't really like to stitch on 14 count visually. I don't like how big the X's are, but I do have a lot of health issues. But part of it is that I have chronic pain in my shoulder, and that can be aggravated by stitching, which is one of the reasons that I'm a pretty slow stitcher. And this month I just didn't want to deal with that, and so stitching on 14 count hurts my shoulder less, and I can stitch on it longer. And so I just wanted easy, comforting, stress-free stitching, and so that's what I did. The first thing I did was these aren't in chronological order, they're sort of in the order of vibes, I guess. So I will start with my start for the month. I have some planned starts this year, and I don't super anticipate starting too many things outside of that, but I also don't have a no starts rule. More of just I want to make sure that what I'm stitching on is reasonable in terms of can I actually finish this, especially because like I said, I'm not able to stitch a ton at a time. But I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I was looking up D&D Cross Stitch Patterns because I had read online that they're actually kind of difficult to make because the wizards of is it East Coast or West Coast? I always forget. I think it's West Coast. The wizards of the West Coast, the people who make D&D and own the intellectual property, they are super strict with intellectual property and copyright infringement, and so I had read that on the Cross Stitch subreddit, and I was kind of curious, so I was looking at Dungeons and Dragons patterns on Etsy to see if that was true, and I do find, I guess I thought because D&D is kind of cross stitch is a niche hobby, but so is D&D, I guess. I don't know how much intersection there is. Of course, though, I do see a lot of people on Flosstube who also play D&D, Jet Stitch, Cam the Stitcher, I think plays with the Museum Stitcher. I know Thread Gremlins have talked about it. I think Caroline plays or knows about it, I guess. And I saw this pattern and I could not stop thinking about it, and it was just a couple days before my birthday, and I had decided that I wasn't going to do a birthday start. My birthday was February 12th. I decided I wasn't going to do a birthday start, and then I did with this pattern because I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it only required 6 colors, and I had some fabric from stash that I could use that was 14 count. And so I basically spent the last month stitching this and almost nothing else. Here she is. I love her so much. Here. I'll put a picture of the pattern here so you can get like the full picture. I can tell you. It's called Roll Initiative by NovaStitchCreations, and I am 1,327 stitches deep, and it has 2,051 stitches, so I'm 64.7% of the way through. I actually thought this was a smaller pattern when I bought it. It's really not that big, and I'm stitching it on, I'm using the called for DMC, and then I'm stitching it on this Ada. I got it from a creative reuse store, the Austin Creative Reuse. I don't actually know like what it is. It's 14 count for sure. Light blue. It might be like Charles Craft. It just came in a bag. Here, I'll bring you in closer so you can see. But I'm really proud of it. It's just been like really soothing to stitch on, and kind of the backstory here is, so the way, I mean, you'll have seen it, but I'll explain it anyways. But the pattern says when someone attacks one party member on the top, and then on the bottom, it'll say we all roll initiative. And the D20, which is like a dice that you most commonly use in D&D, is a trans flag. So it has the trans flag colors, and then it has like the heart in the center, which I think I'm gonna do last to like finish the piece, is the trans flag. And I know I've seen a lot of people talk about this, but like I've just been feeling super overwhelmed with the state of our democracy, and really afraid for a lot of, you know, people in my community, but particularly trans folks, seeing the exclusion of them from the queer community, both from people outside the queer community and within, has really just been heartbreaking to see. And it was just making me feel, I'm a member of the queer community, I'm a lesbian, it was making me feel really like defeated. I also work in sports, and seeing the rhetoric around trans people in sports is crazy. Obviously, trans people should play in sports in the gender that they identify as and are. And so the whole thing was just like really, I was feeling really defeated, and I didn't know what to do, because I live in a red state. I live in Texas. It's not really something I ever thought I would do. I grew up in DC. I went to school in Boston. Those are obviously very blue states. DC's not a state, but it should be. And even though I live in Austin, which is, you know, a blue bubble, it's scary to see, you know, what Greg Abbott is doing, Ted Cruz, to live in the capital of the state that's doing that. And I also work a lot, and I'm chronically ill. So it's hard to be like on the ground. Like, I believe in boots on the ground community, and I believe in forming a local community and engaging with that. I think that's the most effective, you know, version of activism that you can do. Unfortunately, like, I'm not in a position to really do that right now, time-wise and like physically. But I really wanted to do something. And so I found this pattern, and even though, you know, it's like a D&D reference, and it's a little silly, I just thought it really epitomized, like, to me, why we should care about what's going on right now. Because, you know, when someone in the party is attacked, we all roll initiative. So yeah, it just makes me really happy to stitch on this, and it's made me feel, even though this is just personal stitching, it still has made me feel less powerless. And I actually really want to get into craftivism, and that's something that I'll probably like explore in another video, but working on this has just made me feel really good. I love it. And when it's done, I think I will probably start like another project 14 count that can just be like comfort stitching. That makes me feel good. Right now, I'm kind of thinking something in support of Ukraine. But yes, very pleased with this one. Long tangent aside. I know a lot of people do watch Flosstube as like an escape from the world. I do sometimes too, so sorry if that brought you back in, but you know, that is our reality, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just been a really good comfort to stitch on this, and I'm really enjoying it. And I have really big finishing plans for this. I'm gonna wash it. I've never washed cross stitch before, which is gonna be a little terrifying, but it is just DMC. Oh, I did like the lighter gray for the letters instead of, it's charted in black, and I used like 3799 or whatever that color is, which I just now think is like a really nice touch. It looks a little less harsh, especially on the 14 count. I find black Ada just looks so stark. But I'm planning on turning it into a wall hanging with like a dowel on the top and the bottom and hanging it on my wall. I think it's gonna be super cute. Very excited about that. So that has been like the majority of my stitching. It has also really shown me like when I dedicate myself to like one thing, how much I can get done. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's a pretty easy pattern, like it has a lot of fill-in and stuff, but that was really nice. So that was the majority of my stitching. I have some other projects. Like I said, I have been almost exclusively stitching on 14 count, and so that means I've made a lot of progress on my Tulip by The Magic Needle. I'll put a picture here, but basically this is like a kit by The Magic Needle, and I love it so much. Tulips are really important to me. They're very significant to my life. I have a tulip tattoo, which you can maybe kind of see. So I'm really excited to get this one done. This one, I feel like I keep being like, I'm so close to a finish, and then I put stitches in it and it doesn't look like I've done anything. So at some point I will finish this. I do really want to finish this soon. I think it's like one of the more beautiful cross stitches I'm doing, to be honest, because it's just like so many colors in just one thing, you know? And even though it is on 14 count, I really like it because most of the colors are lighter, which looks better on white 14 count than the darker colors. And it's just like, I love it. I don't know if I would do another, I've said this in my whip parade, but I'm kind of unclear on where Magic Needle is headquartered, where it originates. I don't buy from Russian companies, and so I did buy this off of like an American cross stitch store, but then when it came, it was partly in Russian, and so I just don't know if I would buy another kit from them, because even though they are beautiful, it does kind of seem like they're a Russian company, like based in Russia. So, but yeah, really happy with this one. It's a paper chart, so I don't have any statistics or something like that, but I mean, she has to be close to being done. Someday. Okay, the next one, I wasn't even really sure if I was gonna show because this is so embarrassing. I really need to iron it. I don't know what it is about this Ada that just like crinkles, but this is my D&D stitch, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons. It's the Wizard by Dimensions. Pop a picture there. And I'm like really trying to straighten it out as much as possible. This is what it looks like now, so you can see, I know I don't have any before pictures, but I am planning on taking pictures today so that from now on I'll have before pictures. But I like filled out the coat a little bit more, and I just feel more, I guess, confident with this pattern now that I've got more stitches in it. And I actually D&D tonight, so I'm hoping to put a little bit more in. So yeah, I'm just slowly chipping away at this one. I like it. It's fun. I need to iron it. I don't really iron. I mean, the iron scares me. I made my dad iron the one project I've ever ironed so I could finish it in a hoop, without creases, but my roommate does have an iron, and I'm kind of thinking I might iron some of my cross stitch because that was embarrassing. Next up, I have my little Plum Street Sampler mini salt boxes. This is not as mini as I thought it was gonna be, okay? This is like the width of the piece. Actually, I think there's even some stuff right here. So I just put like 200 stitches in it since the last time I showed it, but she's really cute. I've been taking my stitching into, so I have 2 jobs, and one of them I work as a cashier at a grocery store, and I've been taking my stitching into work and working on it. And like the past month I've been mostly doing Roll Initiative, but I might switch back to bringing this one in to try and get more progress, because it is like pretty easy stitching, even though this is on 16 count Celestine Aida by Fiber on a Whim, I want to say. But it's a pretty easy stitch, and she's cute. The colors are very bright. I'm doing a stash conversion. And I have big plans for this. So this is one of the spring salt boxes. I have big plans for the summer salt box. So in that way, I really want to finish this so I can do the summer one. I mean, I also just really like this one, but I really wanted to do the summer salt box because I thought it was cute, but it has an American flag in it. I'm not stitching an American flag. I don't do Americana, any of that. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, maybe I can make it like a different flag. And I realized the pride flag only had like one more stripe than the like stitched flag. And so I think I'm gonna turn it into like a pride flag. And I feel like I might do that in all my patterns going forward, because there are some things that I would like to stitch, but they have American flags in them, and I don't want to do that. So, pro tip, just stitch a pride flag. Unfortunately, I can't really stitch the progressive pride flag because that would require like actual charting. I don't do that. But the stripes, I can do the stripes. So that's that. Next up, we have Move Forward in Love by Modern Folk Embroidery. It's on Violet Fizz, I think, by Atomic Ranch. I really like this fabric. It's just like a pale wash of purple. And then the floss is from Dying for Sass. I don't exactly remember what the colorway was called, but I love this piece so much. This is like definitely my fanciest stitch I have, and I love that it's monochromatic, so I only have to do one floss, but it's so variegated. It goes from like a dark green to a purple, and I think it's just like super beautiful. And I really wanted like the purpley parts to almost ghost on the fabric, and then the green parts to really stand out to give it like a almost like textured effect or something. And I think that has been working out really well. You can really see how much I like D&D because this is a D&D needle minder. But yeah, I hadn't worked on this in a while, like maybe this year, honestly, but like a few days ago, I just was like, I really want to stitch on something fancy, and I've been meaning to start my Doctor Who cross stitch, but that's like a little too fancy. I need to be in like a better headspace for that, to like start it, you know? I'm kind of psyching myself out of starting it at this point. So I just pulled this guy out, and I'm having a blast. I extended the border, and I did these leaves right here. I know like some people don't like how Modern Folk Embroidery repeats their motifs a lot in their patterns. I will say I feel like I stitch on things so slow that like by the time a new motif comes out, I'm like, well, it's been like 6 months since I stitched the last one, so I don't really care. We'll see how this pattern goes. There's like these little birds in it, and I'm gonna stitch one of the birds next, and I'm very jazzed about that. So, very pleased with this one. Yeah. And last but not least, I have my 2024 Stitch for Pride. This, I fell behind on. And that's what I mean when I said this week epitomized no plans, no goals, just vibes. This month. This is on 16 count, and I mainly stitched 14 count this month, month and a half. So I really didn't get that much done on it. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, it's only the 3rd month, and if it takes me longer than a year, it takes me longer than a year. I finished this guy. I don't think this guy was finished in my last video, which is pretty exciting. Please don't look at the quarter stitches. They're so bad. I honestly might rip them out and replace them with backstitch. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But overall, very happy with the way it turned out. I still kind of wish I'd done blue, but I'm not repeating the motif. And I think it'll look good like in the overall pattern. I feel like since it's just that really on the that I've stitched so far though, I'm like, ugh. But I really like, oh, and this was Keith Haring. So he was the one who, the motif inspired D's 20 Stitches to do Keith Haring. You should totally check out D's 20 Stitches. They are super cool. He has a Flosstube and an Instagram, and I would highly recommend checking him out. I really enjoy their work. And so this bottom one, I'm not done yet, so I won't say the artist's name. But fun fact, this is the only one where I've actually seen one of their paintings like in real life, which is kind of crazy. I'm not a huge art person, so I was really surprised when I realized that I had actually seen like their most famous painting. And I'm really enjoying stitching it. Like, I was worried that the color wasn't going to be very good enough, but I really like how the color is, and I really like stitching these like leaves and more like organic shapes. It's just like a little bit flowier. I'm just like finding it easier than I found the top motif, even though it's got like 100 stitches in it. March is the sriracha bottle that goes like right here. I don't have floss for it, nor am I done with February, and so I'm gonna make a sojourn to Under the Sea Fabrics in San Antonio at some point, and I will be picking out floss for the next few motifs while I'm there. I want to do like red for the sriracha, I think. So yeah, we'll see. I kind of envision a week where I look at this and I'm like, yeah, this needs to happen, and I just grind it out. That's what I'm sort of envisioning is gonna happen. We'll see. Until then, I'll just like put stitches in it whenever I feel like. I do feel like the inclination to stitch on 16 count has like slowly returned. My arm is not hurting as much. I'm not working as I finally have like more of a break from work, and so I'm pretty jazzed about it. That was all my stitching. I think I did, so I have it on Notion, but it's not exactly correct because that tulip piece is on paper. But I stitched like 1,600 stitches in February, which is a little bit on the lower end because I stitched like 2,000 in January, and that's kind of the marker that I'd like to hit per month. But one, February is shorter, and two, who cares? Also, February is my birth month, so I get to do whatever I want in February. Speaking of my birth month, let me see if I can grab. I do have like a tiny bit of haul. I'm not really a haul person, but I did get a couple things. Oh gosh, where'd it go? Here we are. I got a couple things for my birthday. The first one is from my Aunt Pat. It was really sweet of her. She got me this Loops and Threads kit that says My Happy Place on it. I grew up going to this beach called Rehoboth Beach that my aunt used to go to a lot with my mom. My mom's been going since she was like a baby, basically. So she thought it was really cute. It's got like a little, you know, beach scene, and it says My Happy Place. And then it's so thoughtful. She like picked out some DMC colors that she thought would go well in the pattern to like make it a little richer, because it is like kind of a basic like craft store kit. And so she picked out some colors that she thought would make it like a little richer, which I thought was really thoughtful. And then my roommate got me this embroidery kit. So embroidery scares me. Not really an embroidery gal, but I do love mushrooms. And she got me this kit. It comes with this really nice hoop, which I'm honestly really excited about the hoop. The hoop looks nice. But it's from littlefishcrafts.com, and I don't know what the name is exactly because I think I took it out of its packaging, like its overall packaging, but it's just a bunch of mushrooms in different stitches. I think it'll be super cute. I will need to be in the right mindset to start this. This is once again terrifying, but it's really beautiful. And it could be cool to try out another craft. It's got, just on the back, it has straight stitch, French knot, which I know you need a different needle for, satin stitch, outline stitch, and leaf stitch. Yeah, it looks like those are the things. What is the difference between an outline stitch and a satin stitch? Wow, that looks hard. I might do it this summer in the off season. So, but yeah, exciting. That was my little haul. I had planned on going to Under the Sea Fabrics for my birthday and treating myself. I ended up going to Boston instead to see some of my old college friends. Very worth it. Don't think I slept at all for 3 days. So a trip to them is in my future. I have some things that I might kit up. My next planned start is in May, or Manning May, and so I do loosely just want to get more progress done on some of my current bigger pieces before I add like another big piece to my rotation. I think that would be nice and just like less stressful. I also have this. Can I easily pull it out? Yes. I think this is going to be my next. I know I said I was going to start a Ukraine pattern for my next like comfort stitch. I will do that, but I think this might be my next like work pattern comfort stitch. It's on 14 count and it's really stupid. I mean, if you like it, I guess. It's not stupid because I want to stitch it. I love it to death, but oh god. I tried to take the plastic packaging off in it to show the picture and it just fell apart in my hands. I got it off of So fun fact, on the night of the presidency, on the night of the inauguration, I drank a little bit and ordered some stuff off eBay for cross stitch. And the things that I ordered were that Dimensions Wizards kit and this kit, which I think is fabulous. It's called Good Friends Listen, and it's these chickens drinking tea together. I actually don't think I'm going to stitch the words. They're like a little much, but I love these chickens just like sipping tea together, gossiping. They're like gossiping hens. So they remind me of my friends and I want to stitch it and put it up in my kitchen. So I probably actually will start this after Roll for Initiative is finished because it's on 14 count. So it'll be like a good easy stitch. And then I'm sure at some point I'll start a Ukraine pattern as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. I hope everyone is taking care of themselves and taking care of their community when they can. It is scary times, but I hope everyone is doing as well as they can be. And I encourage you all to do something that brings you joy, whether that is stitching, getting a silly little treat, getting a coffee. I got a fish. I'll put a picture of him up here. His name's Freddy. He's a betta fish. I love him dearly, and he's brought me a lot of comfort. Don't get a fish on a whim though, to be clear. I had a tank set up for like months. But yeah, that's it for Flosstube number 3. Love y'all. Bye.